Hi friends, welcome back to Food Prep Guide. I am very excited about this video today. It's one I've been wanting to make for a while now, and I am finally getting around to it. If you are someone who uses tomato paste or tomato sauce, tomato juice, barbecue sauce, ketchup, lots of tomato-based products, if you could replace all of those items with one powder, would that interest you? That's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to try to replace all of those things with one container of tomato powder and be able to make all of those different things that we can have on hand at a moment's notice without having to take up a lot of storage space with all of those different jars and cans. Let's get started.
By the way, if you would like help building your food storage, scroll down to the description box of this video and click this link for our free 1-year food storage plan. We calculated a year's supply of food for one person, then broke that data down into a week-by-week list of items to build your pantry on a budget. We'll send it straight to your inbox. If you're new here, we invite you to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss all of our upcoming food preservation, pantry storage, and gardening tutorials. Now back to the kitchen.
So the first one we're going to make is tomato paste. And here I've got my container of tomato powder. I've got more on standby just in case I need it. But first we're going to be making tomato paste, and all you need is tomato powder and water, and that's it. We're going to be making the equivalent of one of those really small, I think they're, I want to say they're 4-ounce jars, but I'm not 100% sure. So it's a really tall, skinny jar of tomato paste. That's about the size that we're going to be making today. So we need 6 tablespoons of tomato powder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Does anybody else have to count out loud because you lose track of where you are? Always have to count out loud. And half a cup of water. So I've just got a jug of water here, and we're just going to add half a cup of water. And a lot of times when I'm making this to prepare for some pizza sauce or something like that, I don't even measure the water. I just start with a little bit and keep adding more until I get the consistency of the paste that I want. But for recipe's sake, that's a good recipe to start with. 6 tablespoons tomato powder, half a cup of water. And that is a wonderful texture. I'll show you up close kind of what it looks like. That is just about the exact consistency that you're going to get in one of those jars of tomato paste. So I'm going to transfer this into a jar right here. I have worked everything that I'm making today. I've been working into my meal plan for the rest of the week, so it won't go to waste. So I'm going to actually jar up everything we use today so that I can use it throughout the week. Okay, little jar of tomato paste. Okay, number 1. Tomato paste. Next, we're going to be doing tomato sauce. So tomato sauce is, again, tomato powder, water, and you can just get away with just tomato powder and water. I find that it's a little bit bitter, so I will usually sprinkle in a tad bit of salt and sugar just to kind of cut the bitterness of the tomato sauce, but that is just done by taste and just to your preference. You don't have to have the sugar or the salt. Let me rinse this out real quick. Be right back. For tomato sauce, we're going to be making the equivalent of an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. So we need 1/3 cup of tomato powder. And 1 cup of water. Hot water or warm water does tend to mix better. I just got as hot water as I could from my tap. I didn't do any boiling or anything like that, but you certainly can if you want to. It just helps the tomato powder dissolve and mix easier. And if I were immediately about to be cooking with this, I would probably sprinkle in some salt and sugar, like I said, but you don't have to. Let me get a spoon, show you the consistency. Just tomato powder and water. Whoops, I am making a mess. Splattering more than I thought I would. Okay, I'm going to pour this into a pint jar here, or a half pint, excuse me. We are going to be making some chili later on this week. And we'll be using this tomato sauce in that. We'll be using the paste for pizza on Friday. Here we are, a half pint jar of tomato sauce. Easy peasy. Next up is tomato juice, and literally this one could not get any easier. Again, I will typically add a tiny bit of salt, about half a teaspoon per 32-ounce quart jar. So to this, we need half a cup of tomato powder. And I'm going to pour it directly into my quart jar here. And then we need 4 cups of water, and that's why I go ahead and just do it in a quart jar, because a quart jar takes 4 cups of water. So we can put the tomato powder right in the bottom, fill it up to the top, and give it a good shake. Shake this up really good. Looking at the bottom, trying to get all those clumps off the bottom. And I mean, of course, you can use tomato juice for all sorts of things, but this is going to be a soup base for us. So I'll be adding some seasonings. Going to be putting in a lot of freeze-dried vegetables, some dehydrated vegetables, probably a pint of canned venison or ground beef. And we will have a very easy, fast supper on our hands. Okay, all those clumps are out. And here we have a quart of tomato juice, just tomato powder and water. It's all you need. A little bit of salt if you want it to add a little bit more flavor to it. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. Last but not least is a really fun one, and that's barbecue sauce. So barbecue sauce, we do need to cook it for a little bit, so I'm going to get that set up and we will be right back. So here we go with barbecue sauce. We're going to start out with half a cup of tomato powder. We're going to add 1.5 cups of water. Give that a good whisk and go ahead and turn our heat on. I'm going to turn my heat on to medium heat. Okay, now we're just going to start adding all of the rest of our ingredients. We're going to start with 1 cup of brown sugar. The brown sugar is to taste. So if you like, we like a more of like a honey sweetened type barbecue sauce, but I'm going to just be using brown sugar today. But you can certainly use less if you like. We're going to do 1 cup of brown sugar. One-third cup of apple cider vinegar. One tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Oops, I always do that. One tablespoon Worcestershire. And 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. One, 2, and just about 3. Okay, that's most of our liquid, so I'm going to go ahead and give this a mix. Next, we're going to add all of our seasonings. We're going to start with half a tablespoon of mustard. You can use 1 tablespoon of ground mustard or powdered mustard, but I will typically just do a little squirt of prepared mustard. And I don't measure, I'm just going to do a little squirt. Okay, half a tablespoon of onion powder. One tablespoon of paprika. Smoked paprika is really nice as well. Half a tablespoon of salt. I'm just going to use some Celtic sea salt here. Oh, I need to refill my jar. 1 teaspoon of pepper. I'm going to use my half teaspoon here. So that's 1 teaspoon of pepper. Next is going to be half a teaspoon of garlic powder. And that's it for our seasonings. Now at this point, we're going to give it a good stir. I'm going to turn my heat up just a little bit higher, and we're going to bring this to a boil before we add our last ingredient, which is going to give us that nice, thick consistency of barbecue sauce. Now that we're starting to boil, we're going to go ahead and add our last ingredient, which is the thickener, and we are going to be using 1 tablespoon of arrowroot powder. You can certainly use cornstarch if you prefer. We just prefer to use arrowroot powder when possible, so I'm adding 1 tablespoon of arrowroot powder, and that's added once it gets to the point of boiling. Then we're going to mix that in, and we're just going to continue to boil it until it gets to the thick consistency that we want. The longer you boil it, the thicker it's going to get. And also bear in mind that it will thicken as it cools down as well. So I've let this boil for about 4 to 5 minutes, and we're about at the consistency that I want, especially knowing that it will cool even further. Excuse me, it will thicken even further as it cools. So at this point, I'm going to turn the heat off, and I'm going to remove it from heat and let that cool for just a bit before I pour it into my quart jar. The barbecue sauce has cooled, so I'm going to get that into my quart jar. You can kind of see the consistency of it. It's thickened up nicely. I need a bigger spatula. Okay, and here we have homemade barbecue sauce. We're going to be having some barbecue chicken later on this week, and that's just like a mixture of barbecue sauce and Italian dressing and some seasoning poured over some chicken breast in the crock pot. Really easy supper. So that's what this is going to be going for later on this week. And that is it, y'all. We have barbecue sauce, tomato paste, tomato sauce. We're going to be making some chili later on this week, and some tomato juice, quick and easy soup base for later on this week as well. If y'all are interested, we have lots of other food prep tips, food storage advice, tutorials, and stuff like that inside of our book, Food Prep Guide. That will be down in the description box if you're interested. That's it for today. We will see y'all next time. Bye.